Yuba-Sutter.live's local government live streams are presented by Plumas Lake Self-Storage in Plumas Lake, where lifelong local residents are helping other residents keep things safe, providing indoor storage units, outdoor RV and vehicle parking, moving supplies, and Penske truck rentals. Details at plumaslakeselfstorage.com.
Director Bradford, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Sure. Please stand. Salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Public comment.
Public comment is an opportunity for members of the public to address the Board of Directors on any subject matter that is not on the meeting agenda and is within the board's subject matter jurisdiction. Public comment periods are limited to 3 minutes per person, and total amount of time for public comment is 15 minutes. Persons participating by way of video conference or teleconference shall ensure their audio is muted at all times except when the board chair announces public comment periods. At those designated times, members of the public wishing to speak shall enable their audio and state their name for the record. When multiple members of the public wish to speak, the clerk will determine the order of speakers and announce their names accordingly. To ensure proper conduct, the board reserves the right to mute the audio and video of any member of the public violating generally accepted principles and decorum of official public meetings. We do have one virtual comment.
All right. Can you pull them up, please?
C, can you please state your name for the record?
Hello, good morning. This is Charles Sharp from Oregon House. Can you hear me?
We can.
Please do whatever you can to help the foothill communities develop fire-wise communities. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak? Public comment? None? Okay. Consent items.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any comment on consent items? Anyone from the public? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Okay. Discussion items. Receive presentations from interns on projects completed during the 2024 summer intern program.
Good morning. I am just here to introduce the item because this is one of my favorite programs that we do. I mean, we do all kinds of really cool, really good stuff, but our intern program has turned out to be really cool and really, really successful. We had our first intern in 2017. It was kind of thrown together. Oh, yeah, if there's an engineer who wants to take an intern, sure, we can do it. And since 2017, we have had 38 interns, including the 3 that you heard at our last meeting and the 3 that you will hear presentations from today. So thank you. Thank you for your leadership in letting us run this intern program. It's great for the interns because it exposes them to what we do and jobs that they may be interested in or that they want experience in. It's really good for Yuba Water Agency as well. So thank you to the board. Thank you to the mentors. You know, we don't take the internship program lightly. We don't bring students in to lug boxes back and forth all day or, you know, just sit there waiting for us to give them stuff to do. Mentors take on interns to give them meaningful projects to do so that the interns get real experience. So thank you to the mentors, to all of the mentors. And we have 2 mentors here today that are going to introduce their interns. That's Matt Murray and Dee Dee Cordell. And then Aaron Esselman is the 3rd. And I just want to thank Aaron in particular because he is really enthusiastic about the internship program and really puts a lot of time into it. So we have 3 presentations for you today. So the first person I'm going to call up is Matt Murray to introduce his intern.
Good morning. I'm Matt Murray. I'm a senior hydro engineer, and this year I was blessed with the opportunity to mentor Riley Mallon. And many of you know Riley from personal dealings and from the county, from his dad. But he's been a great intern this year. We actually had him last year as well. And predominantly he's been helping out with that power systems headquarters project that we're building up in Dobbins, or up in Organ House. So anyway, I'd like to go ahead and introduce him. He's got his presentation, and just thank him for the continued internship that he's done. I think he's grown quite a bit. He's getting more and more prepped for the real world, as he's about to graduate and take on his chosen path as a construction management graduate. So come on up, Riley. Thanks.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Mandy. Thank you all for being here, and thank you for taking your time to listen to my presentation. So my name is Riley Mallon. My internship was civil engineering internship. I'm a construction management major up at Chico, as Matt mentioned. So let's get started here. So as everyone knows, the big capital improvement project, power system headquarters. So here is just a little slideshow put together by Alex Bosch. And it is a drone footage every month progressively over the last year of the project. Some of the main things that I've been doing this summer, starting with quality assurance. So working under Matt, a big thing I've been doing is just inspecting the site, ensuring that the contractors are performing what they're supposed to be doing within their contracts, within the change orders that are that have been approved. And so this keeps me very busy on a day-to-day, considering that the job site averages about 60 workers a day there. So lots of people to keep track of and lots of progress to keep track of each day. The next is PCO analysis. So PCO stands for proposed change order. So with the project of this size and this scope, there's lots of change orders, lots of changes that are being made throughout the design process during construction. So part of what I do is once the contractor submits a PCO to us, I go through it with a fine-tooth comb and I make a whole report about what should be in there, what shouldn't be in there, such as things that should have been part of the original contract work. And I make a full report and send them over to Matt for each one. Since he has a lot on his plate from day to day, this makes it a lot easier for himself. The next is owner furnished equipment coordination. So part of the contract with Hilbers is we have to provide certain equipment that we have chosen, such as vehicle or automotive lift, air compressors, TVs. There's a bunch of different things that Yuba-Sutter wanted to make sure they got exactly what they wanted instead of what the contractor could have picked. So I've been coordinating with quite a few vendors, making sure that everything is on a proper timeline. There's lots of big lead times for things such as our vehicle lifts. So coordinating with, I'd say about half a dozen vendors to make sure everything is on track for to meet the schedule that Hilbers has in front of us. So one of the big things that started off my summer was a mass dirt off haul. This was coordinated by Hilbers. They had approximately 11,000 yards of extra borrow from all the excavation and the site work that had happened. And Hilbers coordinated with an adjacent property owner to relocate the dirt and spread it in his field. So now there's not a 20-foot tall mountain in the back of the job site. This was pretty awesome to see. There was 3 40-ton haul trucks and a 335 excavator you could see there. So I guess the picture doesn't really do it justice, because there was some really big equipment and it was really awesome to see something like this. So next, this is a big concern for everyone up in the foothills, especially the local fire department. It is the fire pump skid. So this supports our fire suppression system and the hydrants that are inside the facility. It has a pump that's rated at 1,200 gallons a minute, so it can feed all buildings, no problem, if there's any type of fire issues that arise. It's supported by a 150,000 gallon water tank, which is up on the hill. You can see in the previous slide. And on to the next. Let's see here. So some of the really early mornings this summer, 12:30, 1 o'clock a.m., 1 in the morning pours. The first was the inside of Building A, the admin building. This was a unique concrete placement because there was already walls that were already framed up inside the building. They poured the slab in 2 separate pours. So working around all the conduits and plumbing inside the building was quite intricate. And then the next one was an approximately 369-yard pour. This was the Building D. This is the equipment and maintenance truck parking. This was a massive pour. This one started at 1 in the morning. And then the 2 different types of concrete placement they used, they had a concrete boom truck for Building D here. And then inside of Building A, they just used a traditional pump with mini hoses to get through the building. Another big concrete pour was the aprons between the mechanic shop and the warehouse. This was approximately 180 yards, and they also used a piece of equipment called a laser screed. So instead of traditional concrete placement where you use a board and screed off the excess concrete, they used the laser vibratory screed to make sure everything is sloped properly 2% from the buildings. So I had some special visitors this summer. I had Director Bishop, who's not here, and Director Bradford, and it was a great time showing them around. They got to see everything in progress. It was a really busy day. Thanks for coming out. And I'd like to get the rest of you out there whenever you have time. So here was another little project that happened. This happened over a few weeks. So this was inclinometer casing install. This was done by Crux Drilling. So this picture here, this is the drill rig that they had out there, and these holes were going through the spoils pile that is above Colgate there and then into the original earth. And what this inclinometer can do is it can analyze the soil month to month to see if there's deformation or see if that pile is moving further away from its original placing. And this tunnel or this spoils pile consists of 5 miles of tunnel spoils. So it comes out to approximately 300,000 yards of material that's here on the side of the mountain. And then one thing I had coordinated by Ryan McNally, thank you for this. I wanted to see what the hydrologists did. It sounded like they had to do some interesting stuff. I see their daily water reports. So I went out with some of the hydrologists and we got to do NY28 measurement. So this is just below Narrows 1, as you can see in the picture here. And we were using an acoustic Doppler current profiler. So we were measuring river flows with this little boat you can see here, and we ran it back and forth with the little cable car trolley system. And then we measured river and lake level as well as temperature at the same time. And that concludes. Thank you. Any questions?
Sounds like you're having too much fun up there.
Yeah, you could say so.
Just a
Great
couple.
job.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Just a couple comments. So welcome back for your second year. That's great. I really appreciated the tour. You did an outstanding job showing us around.
Welcome.
And then my last comment is really, I'm just so impressed that we have an intern that's skilled enough to take on such a leadership and important role like this. And so I think that's a testament to you. And it's also a testament to the agency and your mentor, and us providing those opportunities for folks when we believe they're capable. So
Yep.
awesome job.
I appreciate it.
So I have a question, Riley. Where are we on schedule?
So according to the contractor, way ahead of what the original contract schedule would be, but don't want to get everyone too excited. It seems like they will be completed with all their contract work and finishing up. It should be about this time next year. I mean, I don't want to get everyone too excited, but that's what it seems like looking at all the schedules. Because with construction, there's always something. There's always something that comes up. So you never really know.
Yeah. And you have 1 semester of college left?
Yeah, so I'll be done with Chico, December.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was curious about the double pour. So they poured it, then they built the building, and then they went in and poured it again. Explain why they did that.
So with Building A, first they poured the footings and the stem wall. They built the main steel structure, then framed it around it, and then they poured certain sections of the building as the other trades were done. So under the slab, you have I mean, I'd say miles of electrical conduit, tying all the offices, the comm rooms and everything together, the plumbing. And so the reason they did it in sections was so that they could get other trades in there and stay on schedule, was really what it was. So they poured the back offices, the bathroom areas, and the divisible conference room first, and then the main portion of the offices and the entrance and the vestibule area. They were basically just waiting on other trades.
Okay.
That's really all the reason for it.
And then the 1 a.m. pours, is that typical because of the size of the pours?
Most of the time it is the size and the temperature. So the concrete, you don't want it to cure too fast, then you really can't finish it. But the time that it takes to finish a building of that size, it really is why they start that early. Those guys were out there until the middle of the next afternoon or that afternoon. So those guys, 12, 14 hours straight of just working. So like the building D that was 369 yards, that one they started at 1 a.m. and then they were done placing at 6:30, just pouring it out. And then the finish crew was right behind them and they were out there until about 3 o'clock that day, saw cutting all the control joints and everything. So it really is just, it takes that much time. And that's with almost 30 guys on site for the concrete pour.
And then on the laser screed with the 2% slope, I don't know nearly enough to even ask an informed question, but is it the slough off is at the bottom and they just like literally drain off the excess as they're vibrating it, or how exactly are they doing that?
So when they have the boom pump in there, they're placing it up to the edge of the forms, and then all that screed's doing is flattening it out and making it easier for the rest of the finish crews to come through. The way that everything's graded and the way everything's formed up, it's already set at that 2%. It's just the laser screeds there to ensure that everything is smoothed off to where they.
And it's just the consistency, texture, the level.
Yeah, so it's basically just to make sure everything's consistent, and then all the rest of the finishing and everything that's all done by hand. This is just it minimizes how much labor is used to move or to manipulate the concrete into place, because concrete's not a light thing, and it definitely speeds up the process, and it definitely makes for a more efficient and more effective pour.
Are there more pours to be done?
Oh, absolutely. So the equipment yard or the electrical yard where the generators, the fuel tanks, and the propane tanks are, that'll be coming up here in about the next month. Then you have the rest of the aprons. So the aprons for buildings B and C, the warehouse and the mechanic shop, they only poured the front half of those aprons so that the paving crew could get all graded and ready out front. And then there's still a lot of trenching and electrical work on the north side of the facility. So there's probably another 500 or so yards left to be poured on the site, plus almost a half mile of curb left also.
I was just thinking I have some boots I could loan Supervisor or Director Fear. Maybe we could get him up there and he could get an education in concrete.
Yeah. Brian Taylor would love that.
Just a quick question. I assume PG&E has been working hand in hand and getting you plenty of power.
Yeah, so that's actually a really hot topic as of this last week. So as we know with the park fire, that actually pushed PG&E off. They were supposed to be setting our poles and bringing 3-phase over actually this last week, but now we're getting pushed into around September early September is the last date I heard. But yeah, we got on with PG&E early and got on their list early so that we didn't have a building sitting there as, for example, like Costco. Yes. But thank you.
All right. Great presentation, Riley. Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Good morning, everyone. Dee Dee Cordell, Communications Manager, and I have the pleasure of introducing Lucy Magana, who has been our intern this summer. And before I have Lucy come up, I just want to share that of all the years since we've started doing this, by far, this was the most competitive pool of candidates that we've ever seen. And with each person we looked at, it was just getting more and more like intense. We were like, oh my God, how are we going to make this decision? And then along came Lucy, and she just blew us away. And she has continued to blow us away all summer long. Terry mentioned this is really a two-way street. I feel like although we have helped Lucy get some experience and some exposure, she has really helped us. She's fresh in school still, and she's learning all this stuff as it's happening. She's much more in tune with all the trends than we are, because we're not as young as she is. And so it's been a wonderful experience for all of us. And I do want to give an extra special shout out to Alex and Bonnie, who have also helped significantly, really taking Lucy under their wings and making sure that she gets exposure to all the things that we do in the communications world. And then I'm just going to share a quick little story of my favorite moment of Lucy's internship when we went to the local Spanish radio station to record a Spanish language ad, and she got to meet Juan Villagrana, who some of you may know, and he is quite the celebrity in the Hispanic community. And she was so nervous, and she was just so starstruck. It was really, really sweet. So with that, I would love for you to hear a little bit more from Miss Lucy Magaña.
Thank you, Dee Dee. Good morning. My name is Lucy Magaña, and I was the communications intern this summer. So I was working or learning from the amazing communications team, which consists of Dee Dee, Bonnie, and Alex. So just to start it off, a little bit about me. I was born and raised in Marysville. I come from a very, very large family. I'm one of 8 kids. So as you can see on the top picture, that's not even half my family. I'm pretty sure I'm missing like 2 or 3 of my siblings and all their kids. And one of the very, very few things we can all agree on, all the siblings, is that Marysville is home. Most of my siblings continue to live in the area. They've built their families, grown careers here. So I wanted to do the exact same thing. So right after high school, I went to Yuba College, and I graduated in 2023 with a business administration transfer degree. I'm currently a senior at CSU Chico, set to graduate in May 2025 with a bachelor's in business administration marketing, as well as a professional sales certificate. So a little bit of what I've been up to. I'm sure you've all heard of the water conservation kits. A big goal for the communications team was to make sure the public was also aware that they had access to these resources. And I was tasked with doing that. So I had to come up with a 6-week social media campaign, which was so much fun. It consisted of weekly posts, so each week highlighting one item from the kits and really piggybacking off of the hashtag Water Wednesday. So every Wednesday a post was up. I came up with the captions as well as most of the images you see. And throughout the 6 weeks, I just really learned how to pull together a social media campaign, which is not something a lot of marketing students can do prior to graduating. And like Dee Dee said, I had the exciting opportunity to do a Spanish radio ad, which I'd love to share with you all. Works.
Este verano, Yuba Water Agency se está asociando con proveedores de agua en el condado de Yuba para ayudar a conservar dinero y agua. Equipos de conservación de agua están disponibles gratis. Incluyen una nueva cabeza para duchar, regadera para regar sus plantas y más. Así que conéctense con su proveedor local para ver cómo puede obtener un equipo o visite nuestro sitio web yubawater.org. Y recuerden que cada gota cuenta. Así que trabajemos juntos y ahorremos para esos días secos que están por venir.
So if you don't understand Spanish, it's just me encouraging the community members to pick up their water conservation kit, and just a little bit of tease of what's in the kit. I'm not going to lie. I did tear up a little bit on the drive home after recording this. Coming from a household that only speaks Spanish, it was just very exciting to be on the same radio stations that I grew up to listening my entire life, and with a message that hopefully is going to help my fellow Spanish-speaking community members save some money and also contribute to the water conservation movement. So that was a very exciting opportunity. And these are just some of the social media posts. These are specifically from Twitter, but we posted across 4 different platforms. So I took the images for this. Of course, Alex helped edit them, and as well as the team helped with the captioning. So I was very fortunate enough that the comms team kept me very busy with so many amazing opportunities. And although that list seems long, these are just some of the highlights. I did a lot of social media content creations. One of my top posts was a Instagram reel showcasing the restock of the life jacket loaner stations at Bullards. That was actually our top post for June on Instagram. So it was very encouraging because it was one of my very first reels. I was also part of the editorial planning process, so planning for events like the life jacket loaner station, as well as the Peach Fest and Intern Day. talking about Intern Day, National Intern Day, I got to do an external story, which is so exciting because I got to talk to this summer's intern. So the story was basically just a recap of the intern program, how it's come to be today, as well as you hear a little bit of the interns this summer and past intern projects and the results of those projects. I also had the amazing opportunity to do the monthly number reports that you all received for last month. For me, that was probably one of the most exciting things. I fell in love with marketing because of the analytics of really stepping back and seeing how our work for 1 month has come together and the results of that. And of course, I got to do a couple facility tours and got exposure to live radio. Like I mentioned, National Intern Day was a big day for me. Not only did I post across all our platforms, and do that external story, I also got to be on the live radio with a couple of our other interns, which was so much fun. So big shout out to Dee Dee for setting that up. I know a lot of the other interns were excited. And by far, one of the most exciting things I got to do were the community events. Of course, the hometown tradition, Marysville Peach Festival, Plumas Lake Block Party just this past weekend, and the Water Safety Day back in June, I believe it was. So just to kind of start wrapping things up, one of the first things I was told during my interview was that I was going to get a lot of hands-on experience throughout my time. And they did not lie. I was actually very surprised at the amount of experience I got. I got to really take a lot of what I was learning in the classroom and put it in a real world scenario, which for marketing, it's very hard to learn about analytics, how numbers are going to work in a classroom. So it was all very exciting. I got to learn how to pull together a social media campaign, which was very, very big for me because unfortunately, when you're a marketing student, you don't get to do that in undergrad. You only get to that years after you gained experience. So very grateful for the opportunity. And of course, I got to learn about Yuba-Water as well as just some hometown history. And I got to learn about all the areas that Yuba-Water is involved in. Specifically, the agriculture community was a big one that really excited me to learn about just because I come from a field working family. I've worked in the fields myself. So it was very surprising, yet very exciting to learn that you guys are helping out that community that I hold dear to my heart. But yeah, I just want to thank this board for, having this amazing program. And of course, the communications team and the rest of the Yuba-Water team for being so welcoming and really just being supportive throughout the process. But thank you.
That was an excellent presentation. Do you guys have any questions?
No, that's an enthusiastic presentation, as most of them are here. Thank you very much. And what was your impact? Your perception of the impact on the Hispanic community? Because they don't really, we don't pursue that much. Are they aware of Bullard's Bar or any of that?
Unfortunately, they're not. When I was working the Peach Fest as well as the Plumas Lake Block Party, there were a few Spanish speakers that I got to talk to and really got to tell about the new Bullard's Bar. And a lot of them are actually still going to the Yuba River, which we all know is not very safe for little kids. So unfortunately, a lot of Spanish-speaking community members are just not aware that Bullard's Bar exists or Lake Francis. My family wasn't even aware. All my siblings have lived here their entire lives, and they had no idea. Actually, throughout this internship, I got to take them up, and they were just very excited that they found a new lake to spend time at. So yeah, unfortunately, they're not very aware of all the amazing things Yuba-Water is doing and all the resources they have to.
So you're going to leave us a book with suggestions on how we can inform?
Yeah, I've been making a little bit through the comms team, so hopefully I'll leave some stuff.
So I have a follow-up question to that now, Andy. Since we provide funding for free swim lessons at the Olivehurst community pool, would it be beneficial to help Olivehurst get that out to the Spanish-speaking community?
Yes, especially Olivehurst. Olivehurst is a very Spanish-speaking community. There's a lot of people I know. My parents own rental properties there, so I know that there's streets and streets of just Spanish-speaking families that really don't know they have access to resources like free swim lessons. So I was able to share that with a few people I know in Olivehurst, and they've already taken their kids and signed up. And we've actually taken their kids to Bullard's Bar, of course. So yeah, I highly recommend that. It would be a good move towards reaching that specific audience.
Yeah, that'd be great. Anyone else?
Yeah, just a couple comments. So it was great to hear about how valuable the hands-on experience was that you were able to get here, that you just aren't able to get in school, and at the same time, share the great things that we're doing with the community. And I really liked hearing about the Spanish radio promotion. And, I think that's something we probably haven't, at least I haven't thought a lot about the Spanish speaking community and how do we reach them. So I'm sure that was a great experience for the communications team overall. And glad to hear you were at the Plumas Lake block party. Did you have fun? Were you surprised how many people were there?
Yeah, I was surprised at the amount of kids. I think we were there for like about a couple hours, and most of the time I was just standing there talking to so many little kids. It was actually really sweet. I even said to my family, I was like, we should have more block parties like this in little towns in Marysville. So I don't know. It was I enjoyed it. By far one of my favorite events.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our third awesome intern that you're going to hear from today is Drew McCall. And just because I don't have the really entertaining stories that Dee Dee and Matt had, he was an awesome intern. I know because he cuts a mean figure on Zoom, which is where I was exposed to him, and spoke up and really represented engineering well. So all yours, Drew.
Thank you. So good morning. I'm happy to be here. Unfortunately, Aaron isn't able to be here, but he has been a very good mentor, and it has been a very good summer with him. And I'm excited to share with you guys everything that I've done this summer. So with that being said, I'm going to move forward here. So a little bit about me. I was born and raised in Yuba City, went to Yuba City High School, went from there to Yuba College for a couple years, and then I transferred to Berkeley this last year. So I'm going into my senior year pursuing a degree in mechanical engineering. And then I actually worked here last summer under Ben Deal, and I really liked it, so I decided to come back. So I got to work on a lot of really cool projects this summer, but in the meantime, kind of in between those projects, or while Aaron was busy and I kind of needed some feedback for him, I worked a lot with Kelly Sapp, our drafting technologist. And what I did for her was I edited a lot of our existing AutoCAD files to incorporate red lines, which is essentially when something changes in the plant, we'll have electrician or electech come in and he'll mark up the existing drawings that we have, and then so they need to be updated in AutoCAD and then reprinted so that they accurately represent what's in the plant. And then we actually made so much progress with those that I started to digitalize existing hand drawings from when the plant was originally built. And there were some really crazy ones that I wish I could show you guys, but these are just kind of some drawings pulled from the internet to give you an example of what those things looked like. And then, so moving on to some of the projects that I was able to participate in. One really fun one was the new Bullards Bar Dam documentation and virtual tour. So I worked on this one with a couple of the other engineering interns, and what we pretty much did was we walked the entire dam. It took about 3.5 days, and we took over 200 photos. And while we were at it, we also relabeled a lot of old labels that were in there that were getting a little hard to read. And it was a good exercise. We had to set up, it was 360-degree photos. So we had the camera on the tripod, and then we had to set it up, and then we had to go hide because we couldn't be in the photos. So there was a lot of going up and down stairs, and I really know the dam well now. So another cool project that I got to work on with the electrical engineering intern, Ava, is we hosted some contractors well, they inspected the 2 diversion tunnels. So the 2 diversion tunnels are Lowman Ridge Tunnel and the Camptonville Tunnel. And so they divert water from the Middle Yuba River and Oregon Creek into New Bullards Bar. And those tunnels hadn't been inspected for a very long time. So we had some contractors come out to inspect them. And unfortunately, we couldn't go with them in the tunnel, but we stayed at the top and we were kind of there as a point of contact for the agency in case there were any kind of emergencies. And then we also had read up on the safety plan. We kind of helped ensure that they were following through with, what they said they were going to do to be safe. How do I go back? Sorry. This one, Randy? Okay. Okay, sorry about that. So one really, really cool project that I got to help Aaron out with is there's this tunnel outage that's coming up, and it's going to be a really big project. And so part of that is we're doing a little bit of penstock modification. And so we're having these new flanges made for that as part of that project. And they're just really huge. And so that makes them pretty cool. They're 14 feet in diameter. So I helped Aaron go out and measure one of our existing flanges on our penstock. And then we got to visit the machine shop to inspect one of the new flanges that was already manufactured to make sure that it's going to actually work for us. And then, so that is the picture that's on the bottom left. That's one of the new flanges that was already completed. And then on the right, that was another one that we're having made that they were in the process of drilling the holes on. And then on the top left, that was just a really huge lathe that was pretty cool to see. So I couldn't really put a picture up for this one, but one thing that Aaron had me do early on in the summer is digitalize a hand drawing that contained all the sensors and switches for the mechanical systems at the Colgate plant and the Narrows 2 plant. A lot of them have changed, and so he wanted to have a digital version of it that was easy to modify, and that's something that we're planning on potentially doing in the next 2 days. Is actually I'm going to go walk through with him and modify that original table that I've made, and so it'll just make it a lot easier to keep track of everything that's in those plants because there's a lot of stuff happening. And then probably my biggest project this summer, it's something that kind of I worked on throughout the summer, was this heat exchanger modification. So basically during the last plant outage, we installed these new heat exchangers that I actually got to work on last year. I worked on a lot of the documentation for them last year, and they were not functioning quite as we expected them to. So essentially they were cooling the purpose of these heat exchangers were to cool oil off that's used in our bearings in the plant. And they were cooling the oil off more than they were supposed to. So we had to drop our water flow. But by dropping the water flow, you risk sediment building up in the heat exchanger and blocking it. And so it's basically not ideal to keep the water flowing at such a low level for an extended period of time. So basically I was in charge of figuring out how to fix it. And fortunately, these plate and frame heat exchangers, you can control a lot of that with the plate pack that you put in them. So really all I had to do is figure out which plate pack to put in there, replace the current one with, to get the outputs that we wanted. And so I worked on figuring that out, and then I called a meeting and I talked with the maintenance department and the engineering department and kind of proposed my solution, and they said that looks good. So I got some quotes and those are ready to order. And then while I was at it, there were also a couple leaking flanges just in some of the piping that was going into these heat exchangers. And so I found weld-on flanges to replace those, and then also the new pipe, and that's ready to order too. Yeah, that's that project. So that's the highlights for what I did this summer. It was really awesome. Even though I kind of already had some understanding of everything that we do, I definitely have a much deeper understanding now coming back. Aaron is a really good mentor. We would walk through the plant a lot and he would quiz me, and it could be a little intimidating sometimes, but definitely for the better. I definitely understand a lot more about what's actually happening. Yeah, so thank you for the opportunity. It's been a fun summer, and I now have a much deeper understanding of everything that we do.
Thank you. You made me tired just listening to all that. It sounds like you must have worked 7 days a week all summer. I wish Director Bishop was here, because I bet you he'd have a lot of questions for you since you're in the same field. Any of the rest of you guys have questions?
My only question, it's not really a question, but you grew up Yuba City, right?
Yeah.
When did you first start really becoming aware of the existence of Yuba Water Agency?
So actually, I would say it was while I was going out to Yuba College, and my physics professor out there, he had actually mentioned the internship. And so not last year, but the year before that is when he had mentioned it. And he kind of just at the end of class one day said, hey, you should check this out. You should try applying. So I actually applied that year. I didn't get it, but kind of did my research and learned a little bit more about, what the agency does. And then I came back and I applied the next year, and then I got it. And now we're here. So yeah, but so definitely a little later on.
Well, it was a wonderful opportunity for you.
Yes, absolutely.
Director Bishop is virtual. He wants to speak.
Hey, thanks for the intro there, John. I was curious where which machine shop is machining those flanges. There's only a few that can swing 14 feet.
Yeah, so actually, they're out of Benicia. The name is Unico. I think they're the only ones in Northern California that I know of that can handle that job.
Yeah.
All right. Anyone else?
So through the chair, thanks for coming back this year. And again, a testament to, I think, the value that our interns provide, the fact that you were able to solve a real world problem that we were having and take care of that. And so thank you for sharing it. I am sure many people were jealous. You got to spend 3 days in the dam in the middle of the summer. Maybe not jealous of the exercise that you got while you were in there, but certainly jealous of that nice environment in there. I know I am. Do you have a smartwatch or a Fitbit or anything? And if you did, any idea like your cumulative steps or flights or what the max was for one day while you were doing that?
No, I actually don't have a smartwatch, but okay. I can tell you my legs were sore.
I bet. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. It's an excellent presentation.
Thanks for having me.
That's it. All right. Manager's report.
So this is the toughest meeting of the year, is the one where I have to go after the interns, right? Because you get to compare me to these guys. First off, I want to thank Drew, Lucy, and Riley for their presentations today and all their work over the summer. That was awesome. And I got to say, and I kind of say this every year, when I was 20, 21, 22, the age of these kids, I couldn't get up in front of you guys and present what I did all summer. They do such a great job in their actual work, but then the way they present it to you, it's so confident and clear and well understood. So excellent work. And then also excellent work to the mentors and staff for keeping this program going and moving along. And I think it's great for these folks in their careers, whether they end up here at the agency or somewhere else. It's, planting a seed that will grow throughout their career. And it's an excellent program. So thanks for that. So conditions in the watershed. New Bullard's Bar is at 1,902 feet as of midnight and coming down. Does anyone know what that means? 1902 is the crest of the spillway. So we will be off the gates. It's 1902.11. So we're probably off the spill gates by now today, at this point of the day. So anyway, little quiz for you, board members. Yeah. So that's 730,000 acre feet of storage, 110% normal average year to date. We've had a little over 1 million acre feet of inflow since October 1st of last year. And that's 90% of average inflow year to date. So that's your status of New Bullards Bar. We're targeting a 650,000 acre foot carryover at the end of September and on our way to meeting that. Bottom line, conditions in the watershed are good. It looks like we've had a very warm July and a fairly mild middle of August and potentially cooler weekend coming up with potential actual rainstorms. Not significant, but an abnormally cool trough coming down from the Gulf of Alaska. So that's an interesting weather pattern this year. I kind of always think for every handful of extreme heat days you have in the summer, you have a handful of extreme cool, relatively cool in the summer. So we're going to experience that this weekend. The report today includes a summary of power systems revenue for both June of this year and the fiscal year 2023 and to 2024. I'll focus on the fiscal year numbers here. But the bottom line is our overall actual power systems revenue for the fiscal year, all products, all in, is $161 million compared to a budget forecast of 145. So we're about 15 million over. But a couple of the major themes here is for the CalISO revenue, the actual megawatts that we generate, the actual generation of megawatts was over our forecast because we had a pretty decent water year, but the price was slightly lower than our forecast. And overall, our CalISO revenue, our actual megawatts generated, the revenue from that was lower than the forecast. But the other products we sell that we talk about all the time, renewable energy credits, carbon-free, and resource adequacy, that revenue is higher. So that's what put us over by 15 million. So bottom line is the agency's doing well. There's a slight trend of prices being mild or moderate compared to the last few years. And as we go forward, we kind of do a rolling average of the CalISO price when we develop our forward forecasts. So they'll slightly adjust based on this year being a little bit less than average the previous 3 years. Any questions about the power generation revenue? It's pretty significant to report out on the fiscal year totals. Okay, I'll move on.
I would comment that your forecasting was very well done when you came out at the just missing the by $3. 39 against 42 is, you know, to be very proud of yourselves.
Well, thank you, Director Matthews. And what Director Matthews is talking about is our CalISO price forecast. And I want to state this so that Andy can take credit for it. There was a forecast of $42.65 per megawatt hour, and the actual is $39.56. So I know in years past we would forecast really conservatively, being nervous that we don't want to come in under revenue that we forecast. But I'll just note that we're getting more accurate. That spread between our forecast and our actual is kind of coming together, noting that we actually came in under revenue or less revenue in the CalISO numbers this year. I think that might be the first time that that's happened. So anyway, we're getting a little better, but thank you, Director Matthews. I won't report out on the power system headquarters because Riley did such a good job in his presentation, and you quizzed him at the end on when we're going to be done. And I'm glad he answered, like, it looks like we're almost done because you have walls and a roof and everything. But when you go inside there and you see all the conduit and all the plumbing and all the stuff that has to get done. And my general contractor friend years ago told me when you're hanging drywall, you're halfway there. And the drywall is still sitting in a stack inside the building. So I'd say you're halfway there. Am I close, Riley? Okay, well, I was there last week, so they're hanging drywall day. So we're halfway there. Very good. We had a FERC security inspection last week. So folks from FERC come out and look at our physical security. So keeping our plant and dam safe from outside intrusion. Just say that FERC recognized us for our investment in addressing some recommendations they had previously made and noted the considerable security program improvements. And I'll just note that having facilities out in the middle of the forest is not easy to monitor and not easy to protect. So we do have some physical security challenges, and the team did a great job with that this year. Overall, all the units are online and running. We had some minor outages. There was a PG&E transmission outage on some of the units, and then we took down Colgate 1 and 2 for some work, but nothing significant or out of the norm. On to communications. We had a ton of great coverage of the board's decision at the last meeting to provide a grant and loan for the Camptonville Community Partnerships biomass plant. There was a great article in the Appeal Democrat, which also made its way into Renewable Energy Magazine, Bioenergy Insight Magazine, and several other niche media and that write about the environment. It was also picked up by KCRA 3 and CBS 13 throughout most of their broadcasts. Again, this was great coverage, and Aqua's weekly newsletter included our release about it. On the same day as our last meeting, Dee Dee gave a presentation about the agency to the California Assessors Association at the request of our own assessor, Stephen Duckles. Last weekend, we had a booth at the Plumas Lake Block Party that Lucy talked about, and we're gonna have to correct Dee Dee here. She says we had a presence at the Mountain Fair 5K. I would say we had a significant presence at the Mountain Fair 5K, as we had our chairman participate in the run, our vice chairman participated in the run, and I have to admit, I also participated in the run. I call that significant presence at the request of, yeah, there we go, thank you. So we had a significant presence at the Mountain Fair. That was super fun, by the way. And our upcoming sponsorships include the Taco Festival on September 1st. Our upcoming meetings are August 22nd. August 22nd, we're having our annual all-staff barbecue at the Alcove Center. So that's 2 days from now, Thursday, from 11:30 to 2:30. We want to make sure the board members are aware of that, and you're invited to that. And then our next board meeting is on September 3rd, which will also include an AVP meeting. And I do have some sad news to report. One final note. Our longtime FERC attorney, Mike Swiger, passed away. Many of you were in closed session with Mike, and he presented on FERC strategy and FERC-related issues. He passed away on August 10th. Mike was a valued member of our team for many years, and we offer our condolences to Mike's family, friends, and colleagues. That's it. Thank you.
And a question. I happened to be driving up the Oregon House area and saw where you're grinding up the brush. I also noticed a tremendous amount of growth coming back. I'm wondering if the growth, is that brush coming back, or would that be better if it were trees?
Well, generally the brush is what comes back first. It's the pioneer species, and it needs to be treated either with additional thinnings or herbicide applications. The ultimate goal is to have trees in the forested areas, coniferous trees, take over a site. They'll end up shading out the brush species and becoming a forest if it's properly managed. That's the ultimate goal.
Well, pesticide would be, when it's little, would be quite easily, I would think, where the cost of the shredding would be more. I'm wondering why they're not using a herbicide to.
First off, Director Matthews, if you want to get out of rice farming and become a forester, you've basically passed the first test of forest regeneration. It's absolutely correct. We would use herbicides on the brush species where we can. And on private lands, that's normally what is done. On the Forest Service-owned property is generally not allowed. So I'm just trying to distinguish the federal ownership with the private ownership. So for example, I'll give you an example. If we're working with, let's say, the CAL FIRE grant that Joanna's managing for us and thinning on private land, let's call it, I don't know exactly what Siller Brothers is doing, but they're one of our partners. They very likely will come through on their own as outside of the grant funds and spray herbicides on the brush species that's coming back. And that is definitely the cheapest way to convert to a coniferous forest.
Yeah, it looked like we're spending money and it's coming back quite rapidly if you don't use herbicides.
You're absolutely correct.
Thank you.
So I'll follow up on that, Charlie. Some of the Forest Service now is allowing herbicide sprays, which is beneficial.
You're correct, yeah.
And there were some people, because I did a presentation at all the Fire Safe Council meetings, and some of the people were kind of against herbicides, the public, but like I told them, if you're don't want herbicides, you're better off not to masticate at all because it does promote it coming back thicker. So they are trying to do follow-up herbicides on all that stuff, or coming back and burning. A lot of them, they're burning. Any other questions? Willie? Okay, director's reports. Start down here with Andy.
The intern program is just phenomenal, and I hope that we record this for posterity because it's great history, and it can be used in the schools to kind of spark a little interest in what can be done if you apply yourself. And it definitely would be nice for the individuals who participate in this to have a record to show their kids later on. It's very important. I hope we're doing it. It was a great show. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you. Don?
A couple of weeks ago, I represented the agency at the Mountain County Water Resources Agency meeting in Placerville. They had a little discussion about forest thinning, forest management. So I conveyed to them our contribution to the biomass project Camptonville. They were excited about that. And I talked about the interns because that was our previous meeting. They were very interested in that, actually, on that project. A little side note from that meeting, it was North Yuba Water Agency was represented there, and they announced that they were also going to join the Mountain County Water Resources Agency. So that was a big step forward.
So since we're doing such a good job on forest thinning, we probably should put some more money into flood local stormwater drainage. So I think we should probably do the other 2/3 of Olivehurst. So we'll look forward to that project coming then. As far as Mr. Messick's recommendation, I think that he probably does have excess hip waders. I can see where he would have a collection of those for his activities. So maybe I'll make it up there in time to scrawl my name in the cement on something. And then for ribbon cuttings, we did deliver a book, Tricky Yuba, to the local ribbon cutting for the Chamber of Commerce this last week.
Thank you. Director Matthews?
I would follow up again that if we're spending money, it would look like we ought to try to encourage herbicide spraying because the growth, which to me looked very well and following it, Director Messick said, when you prune it back, put mulch around it, and make the brush grow better, it looks like that's the wrong tool. And we're not foresters, but we have a manager who is an expert in that area. And I think that we as a board ought to encourage the herbicide.
Thank you. Director Bradford.
So thanks to the agency for their support of the Mountain Fair 5K. Not to steal too much from the chair, I'm sure he'll talk some more about that, but it was great to go up there and enjoy the foothills and spend some time with the chair and general manager. And I will report that definitely walking in the foothills makes my heart rate a little higher than walking on the valley floor. So that was good too, and really appreciate the agency being out at the Plumas Lake block party. I think it was amazing turnout. I don't think we have actual numbers, but I feel like it was a record year, probably all-time record for attendance on that event. I think the weather helped with that. I think it also helped that we Basically, the beer garden was the entire event. So instead of being off in a corner, you were able to get a beverage and go to the bounce houses with your kids or visit the vendors or enjoy the band. And so having that all kind of together in one area, I think was really helpful. Tomorrow I have a NACWA executive committee meeting and also a NACWA conservation task force meeting in Assemblyman Gallagher's office. We're going to be meeting with some representatives from the Shingle Springs Band of Miwok Indians. And then I'm looking forward to the barbecue on Thursday.
Thank you. I wanted to bring one thing up about the biomass. We're Camptonville Community Partners. Would like to try to have them do as much in Yuba County as possible. So setting up a meeting with Tilt Industries and the biomass people, because they sell that type of equipment for stacking, crushing and stacking and things. So anything we can think of for businesses in Yuba County that can get involved with the Camptonville Community Partners that they don't know about in our area or in our county. If you guys can think of anything, it'd be good to keep it as much of it in Yuba County as we can. The Mountain Fair. I'll do my presentation on the Mountain Fair. Saturday, I entered the rib cook-off, and all I got was this Band-Aid on my finger. It would be great if we could have a Yuba County or a Yuba Water Agency rib cook-off team next year. That'd be good. I even know what spot you guys could have. It could be my spot, because I'm a lot better at eating than cooking. Sunday, I ran the entire course. I think on the last uphill, I looked like Michael Jackson moonwalking because I felt like I was going backwards on that hill. My feet were going forward. But we made it the whole way. I made it the whole way. Willie and Rex jogged next to me, talking and having a good old time while I was dying. Thought they were going to have to carry me a time or two, but I made it. And just really appreciate the support. We had a really nice Yuba Water Agency booth that Rex came and set up. And Rex really took over and ran that thing, which was great for me. We got a lot of publicity out of it. The shirts turned out very nice. We had them made locally in Brownsville. There's a silkscreen guy up there. And I think they turned out great. The Yuba Water Agency right on the back of them, the top sponsor. And Director Matthews, thank you for your sponsorship. Your name was on there as well. And everybody had a great time. We expect to have a ton more people next year because everybody thought it was real. I had not one negative comment. Did you, Gary? From anybody? And the price of the admission it's worth it just to see the view off the back of the Brownsville Airport. You can see the whole valley and the buttes. Really beautiful view. So that's it. Thank you for the support. I'm today finally able to walk again. Yesterday I couldn't walk at all. So I better start training now for next year, I think. That's it. For that, meeting's adjourned.
Yuba-Sutter.live's local government live streams are presented by Plumas Lake Self-Storage in Plumas Lake, where lifelong local residents are helping other residents keep things safe, providing indoor storage units, outdoor RV and vehicle parking, moving supplies, and Penske truck rentals. Details at plumaslakeselfstorage.com.
Smile for me. Yes, I heard this talk. That's literally
Hi, I'm Neil Goforth of Comfort Keepers of Yuba-Sutter and Nevada counties. Caring for elders or even yourself has challenges. Comfort Keepers of Yuba-Sutter and Nevada counties can help you address today's issues and plan for tomorrow with in-home and specialized care for you or your family members. Call us at 530-749-8800. Comfort Keepers of Yuba-Sutter and Nevada counties.